Hi guys, my name's Mina. I'm single now, but I used to be married to a horrible guy named Jack. His parents, Shane and Irina, were just as bad, constantly making me feel unwelcome. To be honest, Jack and I both had good jobs and earned a lot of money, but his parents never acknowledged that. They thought I was a gold digger living off their son, partly because Jack kept saying things like, Mia is very lucky to marry me. She loves a luxurious life, and she couldn't have that without my help. He even told them I handle most of our finances, which wasn't true. Oh, Jack, you're so generous, his parents would say. Any woman would be lucky to have you. Mia, you better take care of him properly. If he leaves you, you'll be left with nothing. Thank God we made you sign a prenup, they added. We knew Mia wouldn't amount to anything, so we had to protect our son. Yes, they made me sign a prenup. I don't mind prenups, but what angered me was Jack not discussing it with me beforehand. He always told his parents I earned way less than him and depended on him for everything, so they assumed I was a gold digger. Jack insisted I go along with his lies because he didn't want his family to look down on him if they knew I earned more. I loved Jack and didn't want him to feel humiliated, so I put up with the insults. I was a fool for marrying him. He didn't love or respect me, regularly humiliating me for supposedly earning less and spending all his money. The truth was, he got fired a year ago and was dependent on me. But he didn't want his parents to know. The final straw came when I bought a house. I received an inheritance from a relative and decided to invest it in a house. I found a beautiful one and bought it, putting the title in my name only. Jack protested, but I reminded him he didn't contribute a cent. He wouldn't stop pestering me, though. Things came to a head at a family dinner when his parents brought up the house. So I cured you too, bought a big house. It's truly one of a kind. Did you move in yet? Shane asked. Yes, we finalized the deal a month ago, Jack replied. We're still settling in, but it's nice to have our own place. So did you buy the house jointly? Irina asked. I don't see how your meager salary could afford such a big house, Mia. I guess my son paid most of the money. No, Mom, you're wrong. I didn't pay most of the money, Jack said. At this point, I expected him to correct them and acknowledge that I paid in full and owned the house. But what he said next blew my mind. Actually, I paid for the entire house. My job's been going so well that I could save up a lot of money, so I thought I'd buy a house in my name. I knew it, Shane explained. My son is so successful, buying a huge house all by himself. I'm so happy for you, Jack. Oh my God, I'm so proud of you, son, Irina added. It must have been a huge feat to buy your own house. You've reached the peak of success. They kept congratulating Jack and ignoring me. I tried to get his attention, but he avoided my gaze. I was furious but held my tongue, not wanting to cause a scene in front of his parents. As soon as we left, I confronted him. What the hell was that, Jack? Why did you tell your parents you bought the house by yourself? You didn't spend a penny on it. Relax, Mia, he said. I told them to make them happy. I don't want them to know I lost my job. They'd be extremely disappointed. What else was I supposed to do? You could have said we went 50-50 on the house, but no, you took all the credit, I replied. I feel humiliated and cheated. This is very unfair. Look, what's done is done. I'm not going back to correct myself, he said. That was the breaking point for me. I would not humiliate myself like that. Who cares what my parents think? Let them be. He had no problem humiliating me, but wouldn't face the truth himself. That day, I realized Jack had completely changed after our marriage. He no longer cared about me or my feelings. He had been mooching off me for the last year and showed no signs of getting a job. I was tired of shouldering all the family expenses, and he even fought with me to put his name on the house title. Somewhere in my mind, I knew he was using me, but I was on the fence about what to do. That was until something drastic happened. The next evening, as I was making myself a snack, I heard the doorbell ring. Curious, I went to see who it was because there was a lot of commotion at the door. Jack hurried downstairs, looking uneasy, and opened the door. To my shock, his parents were there with all their stuff, smiling and laughing with Jack as they brought their things inside. Before I could ask what was going on, they said, "Jack, we got all our stuff here. We packed as soon as you told us we could stay. You are the best son ever." "We knew we raised you right," Irina added. "When you told us to come stay at your new house, I told all my friends what a great son you are. We're so proud of you." "I'm glad to make you proud, Mom and Dad," Jack replied. "It's nothing, really. You guys were right. You need to stay with us since I bought such a big house with plenty of room for you." My mouth dropped open. In no world did I ever approve of Jack inviting his parents to stay in my house. This charade had gone too far. Still, I didn't want to confront Jack in front of his family. There was no way his parents were living in my house. But I tried to find a way to deal with the situation gently. They continued dreaming out loud about their new living arrangements. "Oh, it's so nice to finally live in a big house. We were getting cramped in the old place. I'm so proud of my son for being this successful. This house is magnificent," Irina said. "Yeah, and has 4 bedrooms. Imagine that, Irina," Shane added. "Oh my God, yes, 4 bedrooms. We'll take the biggest one. It would be a dream come true. Jack, show us the biggest and best room." "Why don't you two wait here while I have a chat with Jack?" I said. "I'm sure he has a lot of explaining to do." Jack looked panicked and avoided my eyes. He knew he was in deep trouble. I was already furious at my in-laws' sudden arrival and their demands for the biggest room. Jack could tell this wasn't going to end well for him, so he tried to hide behind his parents. "Why do we need to talk in private?" he said. "Since my parents will stay here, we can just talk in front of them. It won't be a problem." "Are you sure about that, Jack?" "Well, I don't mind discussing this in front of your parents if you don't." "Go ahead, Mia," Jack said. "Tell me what you want." "You know what I'm going to say, Jack. Your parents won't be living here. I won't allow this. You didn't even consult me before inviting them over. How do you think this is okay?" "How dare you say that to my son?" Irina snapped. "This is his house, and he can do what he pleases." "Yes, he doesn't need your permission to keep us here," Shane added. "Know your place, Mia. You can't talk to our son like that. Be careful, or he might kick you out. Now stop being a spoiled brat and show us the biggest room. We can't wait any longer." "Nah, I don't think I'll do that, Irina," I said. Irina and Shane were shocked by my audacity. I didn't know if I should be mad at them or Jack. Yes, they were entitled, but it was Jack's fault for lying and inviting them over. If he hadn't lied, we wouldn't be in this mess. Still, I couldn't ignore their threats to kick me out of my own house. "What do you mean, Maya?" Irina demanded. "If you don't show us the room, Jack will. Our son promised us the biggest room. We left our apartment because of that. We came here today because Jack promised to take care of us. He invited us to stay in his new house, so we ended our lease early." "Well, in that case, Irina and Shane, you've made a huge mistake. I don't think you can stay here at all, let alone get the biggest room." "How dare you, Mia? We don't need your permission to stay here. My son will show us our room if you don't. This house is not yours, so you can't dictate whether we stay here or not," Irina retorted. "You got that wrong, Irina. I guess Jack hasn't told you yet. This house belongs to me, not him. So you won't be getting the biggest room. In fact, you'll have to do with the streets instead." "What? That's impossible. Jack told us he bought this house." "You're lying." "Is that so? Then why don't you ask Jack and find out the truth? I'm sure he'll clear everything up." "Damn right we will. Jack, tell your wife she's being a lying witch right now." "Yeah, Jack, tell her you own the house. You said so yourself." Both Shane and Irina looked expectantly at Jack, hoping he would confirm their belief. Jack stared at his feet, saying nothing. Slowly, it dawned on his parents that I might be telling the truth. They were still incredulous, as they had believed I was a gold digger with a poor job, while their son was the hardworking, successful one. "Jack, why aren't you saying anything? This house belongs to you, right?" That's what you told us. Why are you being so quiet? Jack, tell her she can't kick us out. What will he say, guys? He's been lying to you all this time. I can even show you the property papers proving I am the sole owner of this house. That can't be true. You work a simple job and don't have a lot of money. My son has a huge income and can afford this house. There is no way this house is yours. Correction, Irina. Your son asterisk had asterisk a huge income. He also didn't tell you he was fired from his job a year ago. Since then, he's been living off my income. For your information, I have a very good job. Just because I don't show off doesn't mean I'm poor. Oh boy, you should have seen the expressions on Shane and Irina's faces when I revealed the truth. They were totally dumbstruck. Jack, as usual, continued to stare at the floor, refusing to meet his parents' eyes. Jack, is this true? Irina demanded. You said this house was yours. Jack remained silent until I said, Okay, that's enough drama for one day. Shane and Irina, I've entertained you long enough. It's time you take your things and leave. Mia, you can't just kick my parents out like that. They broke their lease to come stay with us. They have nowhere to go right now. You can't just put them on the streets, Jack protested. I can, and I will, Jack. They didn't consult me before making this decision, and you didn't think to take my input before assuring them a place in asterisk, my asterisk house. Look, this might be your house, but I'm still your husband. If I say my parents will stay here, they will stay here. You can't kick them out. That's right. This is also my son's house. Everything that belongs to you also belongs to him, so you can't kick us out. Irina insisted. No, Irina, I can kick you out. And don't worry about Jack because he'll be kicked out too. Now, Jack, since you're still married to me, I'll make a nice eviction notice for you. And I'll make sure we won't stay married for long. What do you mean, Mia? Are you going to divorce me? Yes, Jack, I am. I'll call my lawyer tomorrow to set up an appointment. We'll serve you by next week. Jack panicked at the mention of divorce. He looked furious, acting as if I couldn't possibly go through with it. You can go ahead and divorce me, Mia, but if you do, I'll take half the house and claim alimony from you, he threatened. How do you plan to do that, Jack? Have you forgotten the prenup you and your parents made me sign? Do you want me to remind you what it said? Jack suddenly remembered the prenup, which clearly stated that neither of us could claim alimony, and our private assets would remain separate in case of a divorce. Back then, Jack and his parents had made me sign it to protect him, never imagining he would end up on the losing side. Their faith in his success blinded them to the potential twists of fate. Their demeanor changed instantly. We don't have to jump to a divorce right away. We can sit down and have an adult conversation about this, they said. Yes, Mia, let's calm down and talk this out. I'm sure we can arrive at a compromise that will be beneficial for everyone. I don't care what would be beneficial for you. I refuse to be the cash cow for you, Jack, and I refuse to let your parents take advantage of me after how badly they treated me. That was in the past, Mia. Many years have passed since then. I'm sure you can look past that now. It was a very minor issue. You and Irina just threatened to have me kicked out because I refused to house you. And that happened just a few minutes ago. No more excuses. You and Irina need to leave before I call the cops. I would prefer if Jack leaves as well, but if he needs an eviction notice, he will get that soon. Jack, Shane, and Irina started begging me to change my mind. Those two idiots had really ended their lease to move in with us. Jack thought he could convince me to play along like I had in the past. He had no idea I would stand up for myself and stop being a pushover. I was done being the family doormat. Not anymore. When Irina and Shane refused to leave after an hour, I called the cops. They came and escorted them out of the house. After Irina and Shane left, Jack screamed at me for humiliating his parents. I reminded him he had only a month to vacate my house. That made him switch his behavior to being apologetic and remorseful. The way this family changed their behavior gave me a headache. Thankfully, I didn't have to deal with them for long. From that night onwards, I didn't allow Jack into my room. He stayed in the guest room until it was time for him to leave. Yes, he was served with an eviction notice, so he had no choice. Meanwhile, his parents, after spending a huge chunk of their savings on a hotel, were forced to find a new place to rent. Surprisingly, they didn't allow Jack into their new place. Jack was left scrambling for accommodation, just like his parents. It seems their relationship has become strained. They blamed each other for their present condition, and now his parents refuse to support Jack anymore. Jack had to couch surf at his friends' places until he found a job. I filed for divorce. There was no way I was staying with him anymore. He disrespected me and revealed himself to be a vain and selfish man, nothing like the person I fell in love with. Jack tried his best to change my mind, but I was firm in my decision. I refused to be taken advantage of anymore. Since we didn't have kids, our divorce was finalized after 6 months of separation. In those 6 months, I rebuilt my life and started dating again. Surprisingly, Jack still hopes we can get back together, but that will remain